and she happens to be one of the most successful real estate agents in Harford County and beyond. So with that, I'm going to introduce you to Starr.
Hi guys. Hi. I'm Starr, if you guys don't know. I'll give you a little background on me, just in case you don't know who I am. I run a team for Keller Williams in Simsbury, Connecticut, which we all are here. I'm used to talking at panels for family reunion for Keller Williams, so sorry about that. So I started off my career about 13 years ago at Prudential.
Jess, let's get your clicker. I'm sorry. It's my bad. I didn't tell you. Guys, this is my fault.
Sorry, it's ruined. I don't have your golden ticket, but I'm going to give you some golden nuggets. So let's see if I...
On the right.
The right button.
Nope, I don't need to twill it. All right, that's us.
Two more. Sorry, guys. There you go.
There we go. So I left Prudential. I was one of their top agents. I did about $5.6 million in sales and did 40-something houses by myself, which was great. And then, you know, this last year, I've doubled my business year over year since coming to Keller Williams. So I had to form a team, and I'll kind of back up to give you guys a little backstory on that, because we all start from somewhere. So I did $5.6 million in sales, came to Keller Williams, my business took off, which was outstanding, and my husband, 4 months after I was there, decided to have an accident at work. So the day before I found out I was pregnant with our third child, I have 4, and he fell out of a firehouse ceiling, and he broke his back. He fell 16 feet in Glastonbury, actually. Nobody knew I was pregnant with our third. I was at my new company for 4 months and panicked, and the culture and everything else with the company was outstanding. So needless to say, I got calls while we were in the hospital saying, we have business covered for you, everything is great, we'll take care of it for the next month and a half, whatever you need, because he was in a hospital bed in our living room. So big why, right? So all of a sudden, I had this huge push, and the mama bear came out. So my business went up 114% that first year, and I had to form a team because I was unwilling to miss a birthday party, and I wasn't willing to miss a baseball game. 4 kids, it's a lot of activities you have to do, right? Do any of you guys feel like, you know, you run around day to day and you kind of miss those special moments, or you're not really present even though you're there? Anybody? Can I see a raise of hands?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This is the toughest industry for that. And so one of the things I, was so worried about was looking at the makeup of the agent community that I had been in. There was a lot of divorcees. I married my high school sweetheart. I didn't want that. There was a lot of people missing everything, and when they would be at events, they would miss it. So I decided to kind of take my business in a whole new level. So last year, the team and I closed just shy of $45 million in sales. Pretty good.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we did 191 properties.
Wow.
So that was good. I'm super proud of them. But I think the best part for me was I was gone, what do you think, Josh, like 10 weeks maybe for vacation and training and other things, 10 to 12 weeks probably. So the team did that well, and I'm the one that does most of the listings. So it was a huge, eye-opener to me that I could still have all this business, get other people to build their businesses as well with us, and just create a really great life. So one of the things I did a couple years ago, I gotta figure out this clicker. I think I had that upside down. I'm getting timed. So a couple years, sorry guys, I'm in a hurry. So a couple years ago, I got asked to speak on a panel at family reunion. And we literally, this is one of the Facebook posts we used. I use Facebook a ton. If you guys don't, it's a huge opportunity for you. That's really my database more than anything. And it's because people see you on a regular basis. They associate with you. They know you have kids. They have kids. They feel your pain. And when you're real about it, they can tell. And people want to work with people that they like, that they can see what their big why is and why they do everything they do. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So, I'm very transparent on Facebook. I'll talk about, stuff my kids do that's probably totally inappropriate. But people love it, and they think it's funny, and I think it's a riot, and I love seeing those Facebook memories. We do properties of the day, so we mix everything in. But one of the posts I had made a couple years ago when I did this panel at Family Reunion was, are you struggling with the day-to-day of work and family? Do you feel like you're running in circles and can't seem to figure out how to make it to everything, build up your business to the next level, or take yourself out, or maybe even your family, you're not present? Everybody raised their hand pretty much in here that we've all experienced that at some point. So I'm going to show you a couple of the tools that I use in order to, really make an impact with my family, with my business, and with my life. Have you guys heard of this time blocking thing? This is really big at Keller Williams. Yeah? I see my KW peeps in here too that are. So this was the biggest tool for me. It seems so silly and rudimentary, but most of us let our calendar control us. We don't control our calendar. So one of the biggest things that I found, when I had come over, I needed a lot of coaching and help because I was a yes man. If you need to go out, I would be there. I didn't care when, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna show up, we're gonna get that deal closed, it's gonna be great. And that would be to the detriment of people I loved, and I lost friends and stuff like that, and that wasn't cool. So the accident was the best thing that happened to us because, really, it made us have a whole new perspective on life altogether. So one of the things, time blocking. When we time block, the things that we should do first, look at your calendar for the week or look at your calendar for the month. Does anybody besides KW people time block in here? You know what that means? You guys do? So you want to put in your big rocks first. This really helped me build everything around it. The big rocks, personal fitness, if you have, you're going to the gym, stuff like that, that's kind of important. I need to get better at that one. Lead generation, that's huge. How many people have lead gen in their calendar? You guys are good. So lead gen is kind of a non-negotiable for us. Keller Williams says we need to have 3 hours a day. I don't do 3 hours. I wish I could say I did. I'm about an hour and a half into lead gen. And then, you're out in the community and you're networking, you're prospecting with people you see at Starbucks or with people you run into at the restaurant you go to. Make it a point to know everybody's name that works in the place that you're, frequenting the most. I think I have the most clients from Starbucks and Little City Pizza. So, it sounds funny, but it's the truth, and I make it a point to care about them. So if you're a people person, you're surrounded by people, do those things. That counts as lead generation too. So lead gen in your calendar, first thing in the morning, get it out of the way. Sounds like 8 o'clock is the best time for you guys to do it. That could be any number of things. You could be working your database, just calling to touch base, being their Angie's List, seeing if they bought a house 5 years ago, maybe it's a great time to refinance. We've got great loan officers we'd like to connect you with. You could also call the expired list too. How many in here call expireds or FSBOs? So like 10-ish of us in here. Why do you guys think you don't call those people? Anyone? Scared? Time. So there's a lot of time sucks in our industry too. Whenever you talk to another agent, you say, hey, how's the business? And they'll go, busy, I'm busy, right? Great. How many sales have you had? How many contracts have you written? How many people have you added to your database today? These are things we all need to know. We need to learn our numbers in order to be successful. I think I heard someone, I'm probably gonna mess this up a little bit. I had somebody say at one point, a goal without a plan and a deadline is just a wish. So if you know that you have goals you wanna hit, you need to work them out. I was taking some notes when these guys were all talking because they gave you so many great nuggets. How many people got some stuff from today so far? Yeah, it was pretty awesome. So one of the things, when Julie said she asked for the referrals, I start every consultation, whether it's a listing or a buyer, it doesn't matter. Even on the phone when I first talk to them. And I just say, it's time for me to ask for the order. So once we've done the buyer consult, I end it by just saying, hey guys, just so you know, I hope to take care of you the way that you deserve, that you respect and create a client for life. That being said, while we're doing this, you're probably gonna run into people just like you that are thinking of doing the same thing. Keep in mind, while we're doing this, I'm gonna ask you for 3 referrals and I hope that you beat it. So who do you know right now that needs to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? Would you mind giving me their name? And then follow up. If they say, no, I can't think of anybody, no problem, that's great. Then you keep moving on. So the thing is, at the inspection, at the closing, and post-close, you want to follow up with them because you're doing a service for them. And so as soon as you come from a servant leader, you're going to know that you're helping them to solve a problem that they might have. They might not have a good agent. They might have been listed before and the agent might have done their own pictures with their iPhone. We see too many of those. So we've got great photography that we can use for that instead. So anyways, but just make sure you ask for the order 3 times. That's my biggest tip. Whenever you're working with anybody, sorry, I'm trying not to breathe into this. The other thing, when you're time blocking, so you put in those big rocks, who puts in their calendar date night with your spouse or your significant other? Few people, right? I know I do. I married my high school sweetheart. That was a really important thing to me. So every Wednesday night, if we can, and we don't have another obligation, it's put in there at least twice a month that we have a date night. And so the good thing is we can schedule out babysitters. I'm talking to you. We can schedule out babysitters a month ahead of time and say, hey, I want you to keep every other Wednesday open for us. We're going to take it. And the nicest thing, you're not blowing other people off on the weekend because you can't go to their event because you're having date night and they're going to think you're lame, but you like it. And you're making time for your significant other, which so frequently too many of us don't do, and that's what is the demise of a lot of the relationships. And you don't have to stress about getting the sitter. You don't miss a party, and you always get a reservation. So think about doing those kind of things. What ways do you leverage your family life in order to have a great business life? You need to build it all together. So these are some of the little tips that I do. Make sure you put it on your calendar. You can meal prep, meal plan on Sundays. Like, sounds corny, but these are all things that we forget about because we're so focused on the business. I find with my team, if I can make them whole at home, whether it's with finances or it's with setting a destination to go on a trip, like Josh just went to Disney, you know, when we set their goals for them on a personal level, they will do outstanding work on the business level. So you guys have to think of yourselves that very same way too. Just a thought. It works pretty well for us. So also, speaking of time blocking, so for work, besides lead gen, you know, we're talking about when we're going to do the pop-bys, and Julie says she does it in a blitz and just goes out, right? Why can't we plan that? Why can't you take the last week of December every year, or the beginning of January, lay out your entire calendar for the year, right? So you can say, okay, I know I want to have a client event once a quarter. So this quarter, we're going to see the Star Wars movie. Next quarter, we're going to have a, entire client party, and we're going to rent out High Meadow Day Camp. The next quarter, we're going to do, so you plan all those things out, put the dates in the calendar, because if you don't put them in, it's just a wish, you're not going to get it done. So that you can build a plan around that to do it. So these are the things I've started doing, even down to like advertising that we might be doing on Facebook. We know it's Groundhog's Day. Let's do that stupid groundhog picture and sponsor that and get a call to action on there so we get people coming. So you know when you can build your marketing, you know when it's a Black Friday or Cyber Monday special, right? You can build all those things in your calendar too. You just have to think bigger. Same thing with the time blocking. Time block your open houses. Have them set up, the month ahead of time. That's what we do. So we can tell you who's doing what open house for the entire month of March because it's already set up in the beginning of March. Think a little bit bigger and it'll give you more time later on. I also time block in towards the end of the day on Friday. I'm going to do a business lunch with somebody, or I'm going to have the afternoon open so that I can business plan. Whether that's follow up on my numbers, know how many leads we got in this week, what sources they came from, so we know what our rate of return is on what we're spending. Do most of you guys know where all your leads come from and how much you're spending? Yeah. Most of you? And you know how much you've made from each of those sources. Let's be honest. How many of us actually revisit that? So we have a small handful. There's like 3 people that raised their hand. So being realtors, it is one of the greatest industries for the most opportunity, and yet it's also one of the biggest industries for the most debt and the less fortunate, to be honest with you. It doesn't seem like it, but it's the truth. There's so many agents that don't have money. The reason is they don't watch their dollars and cents. They don't know where their numbers are going and where they're coming from. So I'd encourage all of you, put it in your business plan this week. Time block it out, 2 hours on Friday. Let me take a look at what I'm spending my money on. And is it bringing me money back? What do I expect the rate of return to be on this? That's huge. If you're doing Zillow, are you going to pay for Zillow and expect to get a couple deals? Or are you going to pay for Zillow and expect it to have a 10 to 20 time return? If that's the case, hold it accountable. Do it for 6 months and then cancel it if it doesn't work and find the thing that does work. Just in the long term, it's all just being consistent with what you do. So those are some of my little tips. Hopefully that's all right. Oh, yeah. One of the things too, so talking about expireds real quick, I was a big database person. Did I talk enough about the time blocking so you guys kind of get an idea? Also, at the beginning of the year, I want you guys to go in, put your vacations for the entire year in, and make sure you have something every quarter, whether it's a long weekend or it's a vacation, because if you don't, the year flies by in a minute. And so you lose that time. You've got little guys, you've got grandkids. That flies by in a minute. I have 4, so I know it all too well. So make sure you really value the time that you have available to you. And with planning, you can get the right coverage too. Some of you might not have teams, you might be individual agents. But if you plan the right way, you're not gonna have to worry about it, and you can reciprocate it to somebody so that it can be a wash. And you can actually enjoy yourself, because vacation doesn't mean I'm going on vacation, but I've got my laptop and I've got my phone, and you can get me on Facebook. My team, like when I say I was off, they literally changed my passwords on everything because I'm a monster. So they're like, if we have to get into Facebook, we will. So, you know, just keep those things in mind when you're planning your vacations and all that kind of stuff. It's really huge. So that's my last bit on time blocking, sorry. Focus on your one thing. Anything, here's the other thing too. If you color code your calendar, I mean, you can do it in Gmail too. We use Gmail all the time. Anything in green is money making. So lead generation is money making. Attending a closing is not money making. That's gonna close. You can get somebody else to do that for you. I get if you wanna go for buyers, sellers, encourage them all to pre-sign because they don't need to be there. And if there's any issues, then it's a lot easier to argue with just the attorney. Sorry, Matt. So, so that's what we encourage them to do, just to buy back a little bit of time too. And you know, it's less stress for them sitting there as well. So think of other ways you can leverage. Could somebody do your inspection for you? Probably. You're going to negotiate it. It's not that you're not going to negotiate it, but you need to know what you're worth dollar per hour as well. And if you set the expectations right with the clients, they know they're hiring the professional and they trust you, which is what they should do. So, you know, just keep those things in mind when you're trying to plan your day. If you're too busy because you're attending a closing or a home inspection, that's not too busy. Lead generating, writing a contract, showing buyers or taking a new listing, that's what you should be doing. Just because it'll make you the money.
What's the red?
Did we have red in Josh? I can't see it from here.
Looks like it's open from here.
It could be open. I know for me, because I love pink, whatever, I have like all my personal time in pink. So you'll see the weekends. I try to be home by 4 o'clock every day. And between 4 and 8 o'clock, I'm not available because I'm getting my kids to bed. They all have scouts and soccer and, you know, there's 4 of them, so they have a ton of activities to do. On top of the fact that we're part of the fire company and we volunteer in town, and so there's a lot of activities we tie into that. Between 4 and 8, I'm not available. If we're negotiating, you're not going to stop hearing from me after 8. Other than that, weekends, I'm off. And we leverage some of that as well. Now, I have buyer's agents on my team, so it's a lot easier to control the listings, just like Julie said. However, they do the same thing. They're supposed to take days off on the weekends as well. So nobody works a full weekend by any means. But we do it and we can rotate it through the team. So we use vacation, away messages. Hi, you've reached Starr Realty Group. You know, you've reached us after hours. We'll get back to you by 8:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. If your need is urgent, please blah, blah, blah. So we do that in the after hours and we do it on the weekends too. And we still have people monitoring it. So if we really needed anything, it's fine, or if a contract comes in. But those are little tiny systems and tools to leverage yourself if you just get consistent with it. Time on task over time, doing your lead gen and using these small little systems will really help to improve your life. It's huge.
If you do most of the listings you set for your team, and you guys close
191?
190 or whatever a year, and you don't work between 4 and 8 or the weekends, you do most of your listing appointments during the daytime, right?
Mm-hmm. Here's the thing, when people are calling you, especially when it's a referral too, but I do this with expired listings as well. It's just knowing the right script and dialogue. So let's say I call an expired and I set an appointment, right? My conversation goes a little something like this. Would a day or evening work better for you? Evening is 4. I'm not doing anything past 4, just so that they know. And I'll do like 1 night a week if I do it. Other than that, that's it. It's a rare occasion I'll do a Saturday morning. That's only if somebody is coming from like out of town and there's no way I can just, I've even done virtual appointments where I've never been in the house and I've had somebody from my team do it, do the preview of it so that I know, and I've done the appointment over the phone with people. So, I mean, you just have to think a little bigger to be able to do it. However, so if we set the appointment, One of the things I would say to them is just, hey, that's great. So would a day or evening work better for you? Perfect. I have Tuesday at 1 or would Wednesday at 4 work for you? That's how you control your calendar. And see, the thing is, you've also plugged in 1, 3, or 1, 2:30, and 4 p.m. are your listing appointment times, right? So you should know that when you look at your calendar, if it's not filled in, it can just say open listing appointment. I can see any one of my team members open appointments. So if I'm setting an appointment and Scott is now doing the listings for me east of the river, I can literally say, okay, Scott's available at this time or this time, which would be better for you. Keep in mind when you're working with a doctor's office or you're working with an attorney's office, what do? Do they say, well, what works for you? Let me put that in here. You tell me what time works for you and we'll schedule that. No, they're going to tell you what they have available. And again, you're hiring the professional, so when it makes sense to give the times that that professional is available, that works really well for us. Does anybody else have any successes?
Oh yeah, yeah. You want to sound busy too. So say your calendar for the week is wide open. You don't want to say, oh, I'm totally free.
open on Friday all
Why is
day.
this person so available? You know, give them 2 options. Sound a little busy. You know, and like you said, you're the professional. If they're looking for your services, they're going to make the time to see you.
Yeah, it's huge.
What are the ways that you have those boundaries with current clients as far as, not calling out between 4 and 8?
Yeah.
Like, is it a voicemail you set up, or how do you?
I've done voicemail in the past, or you just don't answer your phone.
Okay.
It's the hardest thing because you're like sitting on your hands and you want to answer it so bad. But you know what? Just don't answer your phone. And then you call them after and say, hi, it's 8 o'clock. Remember, I told you between 4 and 8 and I'm unavailable. You just reiterate it nicely,
So you
just
set
to remind them.
You set the expectation when you take a listing.
As soon as I take a listing, as soon as we sign a buyer, and I tell them when I'm going to call them too. That's the thing. I'll say, you know what? By the way, guys, you're not going to hear from me every week, just so you're okay with that. But understand you're not going to hear from me because between 8 and 10, I'm prospecting every day to try to find the buyer for your house. My team and I sell 38% of our own listings, and there's a reason. Are you okay with that? Yes, great. You're going to hear from my listing coordinator the first week of the month and the third week of the month. You're going to hear from me the second and fourth week of the month. Unless we have questions about the property. But my listing coordinator will be in touch with you if we have any questions that we need answered, like utilities or whatever crap somebody comes up with. So I should be a little more professional, but sorry, I'm pretty real. So they're available just to assist in that. And guys, you can get some leverage with a virtual assistant if you need some time with that too. We have a virtual assistant that helps us with our social media marketing. Granted, I came up with the entire plan and checklist. However, they're the ones that carry it out for me. They know what we expect every week. And so it's done. I'm not the one sitting there anymore doing it, which is great. So we have our properties of the day posting. We have our articles posting. We use Hootsuite to do that. And then they're scheduled 2 weeks ahead of time. So if we do a property of the day and it says for sale, all of a sudden you'll see me write sold, yay! Because it was done 2 weeks ahead of time. So, but people love seeing that too.
Hey,
And
Jess,
people watch.
I think the 3 biggest things you can do is in your email, set your expectation in your email that if you're reaching me after this hour, this is if it's a true emergency, this is one way you can get a hold of me, and maybe it's just your email. The second thing you can do is in your voicemail, you can leave that second expectation that I check my voicemail between 1 and 2 and 5 and 6. If you reach me after 8, you will get a call first thing the next morning, so you're setting that expectation on your voicemail. And then what I just set Jess up on, because she likes to just ignore some of those expectations sometimes, is I set the do not disturb.
I have to be safe for myself.
I set the do not disturb on her phone from 7 to 7, so then she won't even get the notification, so the temptation is not even there to answer that person back. So you've set the expectation so they know when they're gonna get contacted back. They keep trying to contact you because they think that you're just gonna ignore that and call them. So if you set yourself up and say, hey, you know what, between the hours of 8 and 8, I don't want notifications, and just set that up on your phone. Like, you have to have the self-control with the expectation time.
And here's the thing, especially if they're past and repeat clients, they're going to know you're going to do the job they expect and they deserve. When you set the expectation with them, you also want to say, hey guys, you know how you want me to work my heart out for you? You know I'm going to do that, right? But in order to do that, I need to have the time with my family and I need some downtime. I'm sure you appreciate that because you get a weekend off, is that correct? Great. So this is the time I'm going to be available to you. It's just setting that, it's huge.
From the listing appointment.
From the listing appointment get-go. And when you call them to follow up, hey, it's week 2. Remember I told you I'd call you on week 2? Well, here we are. And I hope I only have one more call to you because we like to sell our homes in 30 days or less. Does that make sense? Great. So see, here's the thing. We haven't had an offer yet on your property. In 10 showings or 21 days, whichever happens first, we're going to need a price reduction. So I'd like you to start thinking about it for our next call if I have to call you. I hope my next call is with an offer. Hopefully that helps.
I also think when you call, when you say you're going to call, you're building that trust stronger, and now they trust that you're also doing the other things you said you were going to do. So setting that expectation of when you're going to call and then meeting it is really huge.
Right.
And then they lay off you because they know you're working.
Right. And the easiest thing, and it's a script that we learned in KW, we have Bold coming. If you guys, you can be at any company, you can come, it's awesome. I've taken it 9 times, and I was at another company before when I started taking it. But they teach us our scripts and our dialogues, and it's outstanding. So, one of the things that we do when we take a listing, it's a class called Bold. Is that what you're asking, Pam?
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. I can message you what it is, but it's like we have mortgage brokers, we have everybody come to it. It's really awesome. And I'll be taking it again because you learn something new every single time. So, when we take the listing appointments, one of the things I say, and it is a script, but it's true. I say, look, I'm different than the other agents in the area. Not alone because of my marketing and my prospecting. I'm also different because, as Bold tells us, we do the 3 Ps of real estate. Most agents just do the 3 Ps of real estate. They put a sign in your yard, they place it in the MLS, and then they pray somebody else brings a buyer, right? Does that sound pretty accurate? Like they might do a broker's open or an open house, and how many sell houses from a broker's open? Raise your hand. 0. Yeah. Oh, 1. Okay, out of 100 people, 1 did it once. So, yeah, so I'm not a fan of them. But, so, I say I do the 4th and 5th P, and that's proactively prospect every day, and I price it right and price watch. So those are huge things. We're going to do a market overview of your home so you can know what's going on with the property and what's going on with the market as well. You want to be the authority for everybody that's looking to do business with you. You want to know that you're steering, they want to know that you're steering the ship. That's the biggest thing, I think. And I found, you work better with people when you're proactive rather than reactive. Our industry is very, very reactive. So be as proactive as you possibly can, and you'll have raving fans for life. So, anyways, this actually all goes back. We didn't have 8,000 slides. We should have done more. This all goes back to putting your big rocks in your calendar, the big rocks, and it's really great to know it represents the largest, most important tasks. Your health, your family, those are huge. So you want to put those in there. The little rocks, many little but important tasks. Lead gen is not so little, that's almost one of the big tasks, just so you know. And lead follow-up, so huge. And then the sands, all the other nonsense stuff, like the email. We can be stuck on email for hours. I check my email between first thing in the morning and then between 11 and 12 and 5 and 6. That's when I check my email. Other than that, if it comes in, somebody's gonna text me or call me and let me know they have an offer coming my way. If they're a good agent, some agents just send it and then you find it later, so. And we all need to be nicer as an industry to each other, I think. If we could be a little more kind, that'd be great. So this is my family, this is my team. I make it my passion to build memories with who's ever in my life. So I think for you guys, the big miss is that we're so focused on helping so many other people that we forget to focus on ourselves as well. When you don't have this, none of that is worth it. So the time blocking is just, it's huge, huge, huge. So, and especially with little babies, very huge. Let me just look real quick. Oh, one thing too, on your database, just because I know it's a little overwhelming for people, when you look at your database, you want to feed it daily. So whether that's, you only put 5 new people in your database a day, set it small. You don't have to have huge, huge goals, but time on task over time equals your huge goal, right? So maybe you have the beginning of the year where you say, you know what? I want to add 1,000 people to my database this year. That's a huge, and 1,000 people that you have literally talked to, not just somebody you scrubbed your kid's school list from. You want to make sure you've had a conversation, they know who you are. So you want to add 5 people a day. All right, fine, start with your sphere, make sure their contact info is updated, ask them who they know that might give you a referral or that you could help. Maybe they have a problem you can solve. That's how you should look at it, to be a servant leader. And you want to touch and feed this database. So add 5 a day, it's 25 a week, right? 100 a month, it's 1,200 a year. It's pretty simple when you break it down like that, isn't it? So, just focus on those things. Too often we forget that our industry doesn't create saleable businesses. At the level that we're doing business now, because of the branding that we've done, the marketing, the systems, the tools, the leverage, and the people, we do have a saleable business, which is great. I can think of a lot of companies that don't do 45 million in sales. And I'm very, very proud of the people that did it, and we all work together as a team. So that's my thing on the database. Oh, and also another really simple call you might not think about, besides just the allied resources, call them and just tell them you're grateful for them. Hey, I'm so grateful you sent me that referral last year. You know what, without your help, I wouldn't have gotten into this industry. Whatever it may be, gratitude calls make everybody feel great. And then they think of you because you're such a positive person, which I love giving gratitude calls. It fills me up more than I think it does anybody else. So it's another way to do it too. Trying to finish up. Oh, so on the expireds, I was telling you the story, and it's a tough one. So I did a ton with my personal database. A couple years ago, I had a very sick parent, my dad, who passed away. He was in the hospital for 5 months, which was tough. So I was out of the business for 5 months. My team took over. They ran everything. They were awesome. However, remember I said I was the only one that did the listings? What do you think feeds the business, right? Yeah. Listings bring buyers. For every listing you take, you should have 2 to 3 buyers. So keep that in mind. You should hold those listings accountable too. So I used to think when I was at that other company, they would tell me, oh, you know, people that prospect those expired lists, well, they're bottom feeders, oh, they're blah, blah, blah. And there was always negative connotation around people calling expireds. And I always had that in my mindset until it got too hard to call my database. Then those expireds were awesome because they didn't know me. They weren't going to ask how everybody was doing. You know, and that's very tough when you're going through that kind of thing. So I sat for 5 months in his hospital room. My sister-in-law's in the back, she knows, calling the expired list. And I have to tell you, I listed properties that I never saw, properties that like I'd have my team preview and I would do it over the phone with them. And the thing was, I set the expectation with the client. I said, look, we are the best. Here's why. I'm gonna point these things out. And I'm unavailable to you to go physically to your home. Are you okay with that? They were fine with it if I said I had one of my professionals going out. So you can always think of something a little differently when you get in those hard spots, and you're put in those hard spots for a reason sometimes too. So, I don't know, that's just my 2 cents on it. The KW people have heard it 8,000 times, but you know, it was pretty important, and that actually took our business to the next level. The year that he passed, we did 27 or 28 million,
28.
And last year was 45. So that's a pretty decent jump. And we only added like 2 people at the time. So, but I was back full time as well. So, you know, it makes a big difference. Again, though, what an opportunity I had that I could go and be with my family because I knew how to time block and still kept my lead gen as the #1 thing while I was doing it because I had no other option, but I could be there for them when they needed me most. Let me see what else I have for you. Hang on. Oh, last thing. On the internet leads, didn't James do an awesome job?
Oh, yeah.
That was outstanding. So, one of my things with internet leads, whether it's Zillow, your CRM, or whatever you may be using for it, when asking all those pre-qualifying questions that I hope you guys all ask before you just jump in the car and take somebody out, it's a realtor safety thing too, you know. You should meet them at the office first. And if they don't want to sign with you, they don't want to work with you, be good enough to know there'll be more business and you don't have to be that hungry to risk yourself, to be honest with you, because it's a safety thing. But with the internet leads, when asking those pre-qualifying questions, don't forget to also ask them if they have a home to sell, most of you probably do, and if they're looking to buy, sell, or invest in any other properties. I know it sounds silly because they call in on 123 Main Street and you're like, yeah, great, good, I'll show you out there. Have you been pre-approved? Awesome, you're not working with anybody? Great. And so you go out there, but then we forget, like, do you have a house to sell? Does she have a house to sell? Do you want to buy any other properties besides this? Because I asked this question on my first listing I ever took, which was a floor call into Prudential, and I happened to be the brand new agent in my new suit and pearls, and I was sitting there, I answered it, and I came out, I talked to him. Well, he owned all these multiple businesses that I didn't know about, and because I asked him this question, he's done 13 deals with me. So it's huge, and he also refers everybody and their brother, so he's an invaluable client for life. So just remember to ask, what else can I do for you? What else? There's always another question you can keep asking. Is there another need? Do your mom and dad need a hand? You know, whatever it may be. Listen to the conversations they're having around you and be the resource for them. That's pretty much it, I think. Yeah, I told you about the leads. Yeah, that's it.